I wonder what successful CEOs have in common. I've noticed two things. One, the ability to ask really good questions and give really good answers, an impactful conversational back and forth. I've also noticed this uncanny ability to see the forest and the trees at the same time. Can almost visualize it as gears. There's a small gear and a large gear and a large gear, and if I turn this gear, it'll affect this one, and see the entire picture of all the gears at the same time. The question and answer side didn't fascinate me too much. It's interesting, but I really found myself interested in this forest and trees, gears kind of visual. So I've been really fortunate to talk to quite a few senior executives and phrase the questions and have conversations in that way. And I've noticed a different pattern is starting to emerge. I would almost call it pendulums or pendula or spectrums or spectra. The conversation seems to go around the route of sometimes we go fast, sometimes we go slow. Sometimes we centralize our business, sometimes we decentralize our business. We focus on individuals, we focus on teams. Activity, rest. There's a lot of great work in this area called polarity thinking, also amazing. But I got some help with a friend of mine named Todd Griffin one time where we were looking at these pendulums and we noticed there's actually a single pattern across all of these different pendulums. If you line up fast and slow and central and decentral as examples right next to each other, the common thread across all of these pendula is time. So fast is a short-term strategy. Slow tends to be a long-term strategy. Centralizing a business or an organization tends to be a short-term view. Decentralizing a business tends to be a longer-term view. So like any group of good consultants, we created a 2x2 matrix. What we did is almost a Johari window where across the x-axis we did short-term and long-term, and up the y-axis we did the exact same short-term and long-term. It created this really strange 2x2 matrix of short in the bottom left and long in the upper right. Well, those are strange. What do they mean? Short, we think, means starting in the moment, being in this very moment of the very tactical detail that needs to get done right now. What is the task? What is the action? Let's get that done right now. On the far extreme, the long begins with 2 years from now, 20 years from now, 2,000 years from now. What might this look like? What might we need to be working on? What's going on then? There almost seems to be an inherent nature versus nurture preference for people to think in a long way or a short way. There's also these other two categories of short-long and long-short, which you might think or we thought were the same thing. Short-long, though, is more about starting with right now, in the moment, thinking what task needs to get done, and what task might be right after this one. What's the next project? As opposed to long-short, which is more about, we talked about the 2,000 years from now idea. How do we break that down into big chunks? Let's try an example. A long preference might say something like, Mom's birthday is coming up. Let's celebrate Mom's birthday. A long-short preference might offer, well, we could throw a party, we could send her on travel. There's lots of different things we could do to celebrate. Leaping across the chasm, a short-long might say, she loves parties, let's throw her a birthday party. What do we need for a birthday party? A cake would be great for the birthday party. A short preference might say, great, let's make a cake. Cake is flour, water, sugar, all the ingredients for making the cake happen. Another example might be the long, long preference of saying things such as, life on Earth won't always work. We may need to get somewhere else to extend human life. A long short might say, great, we could live in outer space, we could get to the moon, we could get to another planet. What's sort of the best approach to do that? Cross the chasm again, get into short long. Moon is best. We can get to the moon. To get to the moon, we need propulsion or an elevator, a lift of some kind to get us there. Short preference might say, rocket it is. With the rocket, we need propulsion. We need a suit to get us up there. We need to start designing and building that rocket. The chasm starts to become clear, or we wonder if there is one, between this long, short conversation that happens and the short, short conversation that happens. There seems to be an inherent tension across that chasm between the two sides. The worry is that nowadays we talk about labels not being healthy or helpful, almost more hurtful than they are helpful. So the intent would not be to put labels to it or think that one individual is only in one way or one conversation is only in one way. I think unlocking this 2x2 or these 4 areas helps us raise the awareness of maybe the conversation is best at this point in one way, or to consider the 4 different types of conversation you could have. And then, is it possible to get better as an individual to realize where your preference is and ensure the conversation, the challenge, the success we're trying to build on considers all 4? Think of the long term, think of breaking it down, think of the tension you might feel of leaping over that time chasm, of then planning it, designing it, and delivering it, getting it actually done. I think this tension has been around for a long time, and I just wonder if raising these 4 boxes of looking at it is something that would help us all work together as best we can and really make the greatest impact that's possible. Thanks.